How would you all describe your sound?
We make a sound called La Música Popular de Verdun. And essentially, La Música Popular de Verdun is kind of a best of all our influences, a bit of soul, a bit of funk, a bit of jazz. And it's that blend of English and French that's typical to Montreal that creates that sound that we try and conquer the world with, pretty much, basically.
Who are some of your musical influences, if each of you could speak to that?
Celine Dion. Pretty much took the words out of my mouth. That's my number one and main influence. Much who I look up to all the time. Pretty much just Celine. Yeah. Yourself?
Me, I play guitar, so I grew up learning from famous guitar players.
Like
so Celine Dion, but Jimi Hendrix is a big one for me, and so I try to, bring the funk with the boys.
Bring the licks. And I mean, in all honesty, there's a huge influence from Brazil in our music. So João Gilberto, Astrid Gilberto, Gilberto Gil, like all these huge masters from over there have kind of crossed over to some of the songs we've done, like Sweat and Smokes or C'est Tout, which are songs that have worked really well for us, blending that Verdun flavor with Brazilian vibes. So yeah, a mix of that. We're a live band, so there's a lot of funk. And disco. A lot of hip hop and disco as well. Yeah. So it ranges from Jamiroquai to D'Angelo to Tim Maia from Brazil. It's kind of all over the place. Yeah.
Well, this particular album to me seems to have more of the Portuguese, Spanish influence to it, I should say. Was this something that just happened where you guys felt in the moment and your your cultural background sort of found its way into the music this time?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Salvador while we were making the record, and I picked up a few expressions from there. Like, people would never say hi. They'd say, hey, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué onda? And it's just a sentence that I brought back with me. Ahorita is another sentence, another word that I just found kind of mind-blowing because there's no direct translation for it in French or English. And I just thought it really encapsulated something special, like a small moment. People would say it as like oh, are you coming over later? And they say ahorita, which means maybe soon or maybe in a few minutes or maybe in a few hours. It's kind of hard to put a precise time on it. So I kind of interpreted that as taking a small moment every day.
Yeah, living in the moment.
Yeah, living in the moment, exactly. And that song is kind of an ode to that.
I was going to say there's so many standout tracks, particularly on this album. Is Ahorita one of your personal favorites, or is that just a mantra that really spoke to you for the particular album?
I mean, I'll be able to answer that question when we get to play it live. That's really when we kind of find out. So right now we're in the north of Quebec in a small place called Chicoutimi, and we're playing a little string of shows, but we're still playing songs from Grouillade and La Musique Populaire de Verdun, which were the two previous his projects. And so I'm confident that Ahorita is going to be one of those songs that when we play them live, we'll have the whole crowd going, "It's like a moment, Ahorita." I just see everybody sing that no matter where we go on the globe. So I'm saying yes, but I can't wait to test it out. Yeah.
What is your songwriting process like? Do you need to have a beat before you can write lyrics? Is that how it usually works for you? Or is it sometimes different where you switch it up because lyric speaks to you and then you're like, okay, I'll find a beat because this is so epic, I kind of have to keep it in my mind?
Usually, I think the best way to describe how we write is just we're all of us three or us five with all the members, and we're just trying to look for sparks, moments that we're all excited with. And then as soon as we have those moments, the rest is kind of following our instincts and just going with it. But it's a lot of trial and error and trying some stuff on stage as well when we improvise a lot on during shows. Just it's basically the same thing, just looking for key moments that everything kind of glues together and we all feel something.
To put like a concrete example, we'll record a bunch of stuff as voice notes and really like from a live show and just trying to recreate that moment where I'll like go into the crowd, ask people for words, start a freestyle, and Pops will start playing some chords and Pool Boy will start making a beat, and something happens in that moment. We capture that in a voice note and then go and recreate that spark in the studio So it's very, spontaneous, impulsive. It has never really worked for us to think about it too much. These guys are prolific musicians, so we can really kind of play anything we want. It's just finding tunes where the melodies and the music kind of mesh and create something unique, which we feel represents la musique populaire de Verdun. So that's kind of the process.
Well, that seems kind of like you're taking from the old theatrical improvisational comedy kind of things where you guys like, I'll take a word and then here comes this. Is that something that you all have studied? Have you studied theater? Is it just something that really came to you and you're like, okay, this works for our band?
Pretty much. I mean, me and Cool Boy spent a lot of time busking in New York as well. That's kind of where we cut our teeth, and it's something that we carry with us to this day. Like whether we're playing a festival in front of a couple of thousand people, or we're playing a small venue with a couple of hundred people, it's always something we do. Like I will walk into the crowd at a giant festival and be like, "All right, everybody, we're doing this. Let's get some words and see what happens." And it's kind of a do or die moment. We put ourselves out there, and it can go any way. Sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it is not as awesome.
I think the key is like staying vulnerable. That keeps us on edge and on our toes, and that's where the best things come out.
Well, with everything going on currently during our pandemic, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit difficult, though, for you to incorporate that maybe into upcoming performances. Have you guys thought about how you'll explore it?
I mean, it hasn't really affected us here in Quebec. We've played about, I'd say like 55 shows in the last 6 months. We've kind of been touring nonstop. We're going to Europe as well. And even though the crowds are obviously, because the rules and regulations a bit more spread out, we still go get that energy. And, you can make somebody shout a word instead of going head to head. So we haven't really changed our game too much. I still think people come to the show to party and dance and have a good time. That hasn't
of course. How much of a hand in do you have when it comes to the production side of your music?
We pretty much produce all our own stuff. It's like part of the creative process. When we, like Pops was saying earlier, when we find something and the lyrics mesh together, well, the next step is to kind of record it and produce it. And I feel like a lot of the uniqueness and art comes from that side of things as well. So it's cool to have a hand in that, to have control of the process from A to Z, basically.
Very much an in-house effort, and it's great because it gives us creative control on every side of things, and we don't have to ask anybody for permission to do anything. We're an indie group, but I think we're one of the bands that tour the most. I mean, by the sheer volume of shows we do, and I mean, I think it's just a derivative of the fact that nobody really has a hand in telling us what to do. What we put out, what we play on stage, the way we do our visuals, the way we do our videos is really from a small team of people that have a vision of this universe, and we get to
cohesive.
Yeah, a cohesive whole from A to Z without it getting lost in other people's hands and ears.
We touched on what song may have a special place in your heart on this album, but is there a song that really challenged you the most creatively when you were working on AGUÀ?
Oh, interesting.
They all challenge us in different ways. I think that once we got the bigger part of the project really like lined up, I think the last song we wrote together was the last one on the tape, which is called Grandes Idées. And then this one kind of, we were looking for something different. And as the boys were saying, we don't really have, we don't set limits to what we want to do. We're just there to find the spark. And that one was like a little left field. And we kind of, like, the challenge was to go through with it.
Yes.
And to trust the original idea and where we wanted to bring it. And I think this one was really just a challenge of us, like, sticking with it and doing going through with the vision we had.
Embracing the kind of the uniqueness of it, the left field.
It's a very mellow song compared to the other songs on the tape. And I mean, I've mentioned it previously in this interview, we tour a lot. So I think when it comes to making slower songs or songs that are a bit more vibey, we always kind of feel that one of the things that pops in my mind anyways is like, how is this going to come out live when we do it? But as Pops mentioned, once we go through the process, we can see that whether it's a slow song or a fast song, as long as it's a dope tune, people will love it live. You know, they're ready to embrace those dynamics in the show with high energy and bring it down and go back up. And so to speak, that's one of the songs that's doing better on the tape that we're getting the most messages about. So, you know, I'm glad we kind of went through that.
I was just going to ask you, you know, what were some standout comments you've been receiving from fans online?
I think one of the best ones we got was from Charlotte Cardin herself, who kind of gave us the seal of approval on Cardin. That was a cool cosign. It's been fun to see as well that even though it's mostly a French tape, we're getting messages from the States and from Australia, from people that are listening to the music. And yeah, I guess generally for us, it's always awesome to see that even though we're making a French tape, it resonates around the globe, you know. And that's kind of our mission, regardless of what language we're speaking, regardless of what kind of groove we pick, is that it resonates with people that love us for it.
And I think like the more we will do shows, the best returns or comebacks we can have from our fans comes from playing those songs live and really seeing it just resonate through the live shows, you know. So that's going to take a little while for us to get the real answer, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be all positive for sure.
Let's just say we have a show at MTELUS, which is one of the bigger venues in Montreal, and we announced it 2 weeks ago, and it's almost already sold out. So I think the fans have been enjoying the tape, and yeah, they can't wait to. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it seems like they're ready to hear it.
They're eager,
setting.
Yeah.
Is there something that you really truly hope that listeners do take away from checking out Agua?
Yeah, totally. We've kind of had this top line running through the whole project, and the top line was drink some water and call your mom. And what that means is all these little things that you integrate in your routine every day, whether it's taking a moment to meditate or appreciate life, or telling somebody you appreciate them, whatever that little thing is, just kind of a reminder to do it every day and not get lost in the obstacles, pressure, tension, not get lost in the sauce, like Gucci Mane once said, and kind of stay in tune with yourself and with people around you, and yeah, just have an appreciation for life. So by drinking water and calling your mom, you're off to a good start by doing that.
It can solve a lot of things,
basically. Yeah, exactly.
What would you all like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the music that you make?
I'd like to say the same thing I always say. Long live la música popular de Verdun!
And keep it moving.
There's more coming, that's for sure.
Yeah.